So it's 10 to 6 and we're on day 16 today. Normally by this time I'd be leaving the hotel, just about getting ready to run. It's light outside, but yesterday's dog attack has left me feeling actually scared. And so I thought I'd leave it an hour later to leave to go start running at 7 today, just because I think there might be more people around in the town. I'm sort of fearful of getting out of the town without being attacked again. And then it's just sent me off into the unknown of what's up ahead in terms of the villages and that, and whether or not this section gets back to being like proper sketchy for the dogs. It's such a horrible place to be, like, to feel like this, because I know I've got the miles in me. I'm not worried about the running today. I'm just worried about getting attacked, and it's quite crippling, really. There's nothing that makes me want to just pack up and fly home more than this feeling that I've got right now. You know, it's one thing to take on a running challenge, it's another one to just actually put your sort of safety at risk. And yesterday it felt like I was on the borderline with those 2 or 3 dogs, that it wasn't safe. It had gone beyond. It wasn't just them guarding a bit of territory, they were at me, you know, and it's properly shaken me. I haven't slept properly all night. Been lying here listening to dogs barking out in the town all night. I don't really know what I can do. I have no other, I have no other means of protecting myself apart from the spray and the audio deterrent. I get a stick or whatever, but it's literally you're at the whim of what these animals decide they want to do. Basically, I have to take all the precautions I can. I've thought about whether or not this is a stage I should just get a lift somewhere and just accept that you can't, then that leaves the whole thing incomplete, and that doesn't feel right. And the thing is that there might not be any out there. I might just wander out of town nice and easy, get into the countryside run bits, going through other small towns that are fine, like I have been the last couple of days, and that might be it. But it's just, you don't know, and that's the worst part of it. Literally don't know every time you hit the outskirts of a town what you're going to encounter. It's a joke, really. I mean, it's just a real big problem for Romania, and I wouldn't bring my kids here because of it. Anyway, I guess my only option really is to get out there and just give it a go, see what happens. I think if I feel endangered again today early on, I'm going to have a think about what I'm doing here. Because I didn't come here to get, well, I've got, yeah. Anyway, let's go and get dressed.
Nothing left you thinking that maybe you're not different. Go on, blow up your ego, your undying ego. Oh, look here he goes, stepping on toes with his humble lacking everlasting ego. I guess it never hit you. Our conversation takes two, paying it some interest from time to time. Inside all that greatness and all of your adventures, you're all alone. Hold up, baby, I can sit beside you while you're going on about your simple life. Nothing left you thinking that maybe you're not different. Go on,
So it's the end of day 16. I'm sat on a different bed, which is where I do my updates from, obviously. I'm in an apartment in a place called Califat, and what to say about day 16? Well, it's done. Let's start with that. That's a big thing. Did 33.5 miles today, and it was so hard. It was so hard the first 6 miles, getting out of that town and just getting through the first bit where there were just quite a lot of dogs still. None of them were particularly, barky or attacky. Most of them were sort of quite placid this time. But, actually on some stretches, you kind of, normally when you go out into the actual kind of wilderness, or the bit where there's, you're just on a road in the middle of countryside, you don't see them. I haven't seen them unless they're attached to a farm. Today, I came across a couple that were in this kind of sort of stretch of a road through a forest just by the side of the road. And it's those moments when you're sort of wandering up, you just don't know what they're going to do. And so you sort of walk, and it was hard to get, to walk past them. You have to be careful. And then when you go into a town, you have to walk to try and, in certain places to try not to, basically spring them. And it just breaks up your momentum. And I felt like today, without that, I would have probably, yesterday I ran really well. Today I could have probably run as well. I'm feeling strong physically, really. Mentally, that's just sort of it's a bit of a hard one. But I basically knew, Dimitar, who came out and rescued me earlier on this journey, appeared on the road at a time I was really down, brought me water. He's come back up. He drove 4 hours to support me today, and I knew that he was going to meet me at a certain point in the run. So all I had fixated in my head was getting to, I think, like around mile 20, where I knew I was going to meet Dimitar, and then I'd have someone to run with and some company and, safety in numbers, and it's just having someone else there to make a judgment on whether or not this dog is dangerous or that dog is dangerous, or what, the situation. It's just comfort, basically. And so for the last 10 miles, I mean, we moved pretty slowly. There was a bit of a bad headwind, but we walked and talked, and it felt great. That felt really great to be able to do that. He's also helped me with something which was going to be a big problem, which was sometimes in order to get from a place where there's accommodation to another place, you have to sort of look at the distances are quite big. So I was looking at potentially tomorrow would have been a 49 miler, which I think, on paper that sounded okay back in London, but out here, having done the days, it's just a stretch too far. I think 40 is really my max limit that I want to go to here in the daily sort of mileage. So he's got a car, so he drove us back into Califat where we could stay. Tomorrow we'll drive back out in the morning to the end point again, and that means that we were able to split the distance. So tomorrow I've got about a 30-something miler, which will take me across the bridge that links Romania and Bulgaria into Bulgaria. Basically, that'll be my last day of Romania, and then from there we can drive into Vidin and find some accommodation. We've also crunched some numbers, and basically I think it's going to be possible for me to earn a rest day, because I had a 13 mile from Vidan to Novoselo, which is a place in the last place in Bulgaria, and then I was going to go from Novoselo to Negoi, which is in Serbia, and I think I can basically put those 2 days together into one, but maybe just take a little chunk out of it the day before. So do like a 10 miler, and then I'll only have a 24 miler, if that makes sense. So I'll basically earn myself a rest day of a 10 miler, but that's like a couple hours running, and that would be fine. So that's a smart thing to be able to do. But again, I can do that because of the car. So that's the thing. Doing this with a support vehicle would have changed everything, in terms of how much distance you've got to cover each day, the logistics, and enabling you to flex those distances when you felt like it. I'm kind of stuck by having to make it by foot to places where there's accommodation. So every time, Dimitar's popped up with a car, it's just changed everything and made it so much easier. So I'm so thankful to him. He literally has sort of saved this. This morning without knowing I was going to meet him, I think it would have been very, very hard to leave that room. And knowing that I had that to look forward to got me through those first early miles. And yeah, I think over the next few days, he's going to hang with me, and he's going to help me get through this kind of bumpy bit, and then send me off into Serbia, where I just hope and pray that the running is done in an environment that's nice, or at least not kind of under threat. I don't know if that's going to be the case or not. Someone can point it out in the comments below if you know, if you've run in Serbia, if you follow the
Eurovelo 6. I'd love to hear about it because I'd like to be prepared, but I just hope that it will be a bit easier. Anyway, I'm absolutely knackered now, mentally, physically. I need to get an early night, so I'm going to sign off. And yeah, I'll try and update you again tomorrow once we've finished Romania. That'll be amazing. One country down if we get it done tomorrow. So anyway, good night, people.